So here's the thing that no one wants you to know. Excellent service can save a bad meal, but an excellent meal can be ruined by bad service. We think it's time that the front of the house got the spotlight they deserve. Welcome to Dine and Dish, where the business of dining meets the art of hospitality. Hi, Krista. We're back for another week.
I know. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dine and Dish.
So, I thought we would talk about something very cool today, Krista.
Tell me.
So, everybody's about the vibe. So I thought maybe we would talk about this week about what's hot, what's not, talk about what's going on in New York and jump right into
Yeah.
setting the mood for October and Thanksgiving and Christmas and fun things to do and what's not fun to do and talk about vibe in the city. What do you think?
Vibe checks. Yes. All about the vibe check.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, we talked about training and we've talked about what's hot, what's not, the good, the bad, the ugly, but maybe we can talk more about the whole dining energy and like what's trending. And before we do that, I did some research because I was like, what are other chefs saying? What's going on in terms of just the restaurant industry as a whole? Because being in Maryland and you being in New York, things are very different, right? So
Mm-hmm.
New York is all about Michelin and full service and
Well,
amazing fun. I know you're going to stop me, but let me
because
just
it's
finish my
not, but
thought.
yeah, but it's not. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
But in Maryland, and being more in that fast casual industry, we're seeing more a shift towards fast casual, whereas, New York is all about fun and trendy and vibe. But I went in to do some research and I found a really cool article on Forbes, which I thought was very interesting. And Forbes interviewed over 300 chefs at the beginning of the year to find out what's going to be hot and what's going to trend in 2025. And they only were able to predict and print about 85 of them, but a few of them were really interesting. And I thought I'd kind of start off the show with that to start your thoughts on it. And then we can kind of talk about what's hot in the city.
Let's do
So,
it.
yeah. So basically, a few said, okay, of course, the future of culinary trend is shifting towards immersion and all these crazy experiences and AI and, where they put the moving tables down and then really cool dishes. So this
Mm-hmm.
whole AI integrated experience is going to take over the restaurant world. And that was what one chef said. I mean, I only pulled
Mm-hmm.
a couple, two or three interesting ones that we could talk about.
Uh-huh.
Um, the other thing, which I thought was interesting, because I keep telling you that, there's such a huge trend and moving towards that whole fine, fast, casual.
Mm-hmm.
And that was mentioned numerous times that in quote, my 2025 prediction is that there will be a shift towards fine, fast, casual concepts, and the quality of fine dining will move towards hospitality of casual dining and a convenience of fast casual dining. So I thought that was kind of interesting because we're seeing a lot of that here in Maryland. And
Mm-hmm.
then the third one, which I thought was very cool, that I thought I would mention, was the whole intervention of food where, and I think this is why you're seeing all those a lot of the Asian kind of concept where they're focusing more on minimal intervention. So the whole less is more mentality where you have the individual dishes. And I'm sure my husband is not going to like this at all because every time we go towards, these fine, fancy schmancy dinner, he leaves and he's like, can we go get a hamburger? Because
Right,
he's
because it's not
starving.
enough food. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the three that kind of stood out for me of the 85 trends that these high-end chefs shared with Forbes at the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
2025. So before we jump into vibe, I thought I would see what your thoughts were.
Yeah, so let's go one at a time. First of all, I'm just going to circle back and address one thing because until we are all on the same page, New York City is not
I know
Michelin
you're going to say
star.
no,
Well,
Michelin is
because you
not
keep
always
saying
Michelin.
it, and so I'm going to keep saying it until we're on the same page. New York, there are more mom and pops and local restaurants than there are Michelin star in New York City.
Well, I
So
think
that's
that's
a fact.
everywhere though. That's
Right.
everywhere.
So let's just make sure we have that fact straight. That's number
Yeah.
one. Number two. So let's talk about your first point.
Yeah.
And that was about
AI.
AI automation. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing that a little bit here, that it's mostly with ordering. It's more for delivery service, I would say, or takeout service than it is actual in-person environments. I mean, of course, a lot of cities around the country have those sushi restaurants where there's like the conveyor belt and things come
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
That's sort of old hat. There was a rumor, and I actually would really love this. So back in the day, this is before both of our time, Michelle, there was something called automats. And they were featured in an old movie with, oh, I think it was called A Touch of Mink. Please, somebody out there, correct me in the comments. I think it was called A Touch of Mink. Cary Grant, Doris Day,
Oh, you're
and
talking way back.
yeah, back in the day. And we had them in New York, but they were all around the country. It was a chain, it was an automat, and you would go into this sort of restaurant and you would see just all of these windows with little doors, and you would like pop in a nickel and open the door and you could take out a piece of pie. There was
Wow,
that
sounds
kind
like
of
the
thing.
Jetsons.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
But that was like
Do
in the
you remember
50s.
do you remember the cartoon The Jetsons?
Yeah. And right. So that was, yes. So very similar. That was a little more old school, but yes, the Jetsons more like now today would
More
be version of
techie?
that. Yeah. And so there was rumors that they're trying to bring that back. And I have to tell, I have this, I love food history and history that involves like, again, food and things of the past. And I thought an automat was just such a cool vibe and thing if they could bring him back and make it more today with technology and AI. So that's a trend that I would love to see if they could somehow figure out how to do that with an automat. But the AI, as of right now, I'm just really seeing it in regard to ordering and takeout.
Yeah.
Your second
Well
one was the
well, wait,
fat.
go back for 1 second. So,
Yeah.
this whole AI, I think I was talking more about the overall experience where they're where you go in and, like, they do those candlelit dinners where you go in and it's all about the experience and the vibe where you sit down and they have the tables that move and then you have the videos that go on, that are going on underneath your plates, and then the plates come down and they have, like, little figurines that float across the plate. So, I agree there's a lot of AI in regards to ordering, but they're also doing it now with culinary experiences. And I know I see a few
Yeah,
of
I
them. I
haven't
know there's
seen
a
that.
couple in DC and a couple in New York.
I haven't seen it, and I have no familiarity with it, and I don't know that that is. I think it's something that I'm sure would be
Trendy.
fun for a minute or so. Like, that Salt Bay guy that was
Yeah.
big for like a year and then all his restaurants closed. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's something fun to go to for certain demographics, certain age groups, certain, you know what I mean? But it's not going to be for everybody. But yeah, sure, it sounds
It's
fun.
kind of like those
Yeah.
immersive theme dinner experiences, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you're into, great. I don't see that as a huge trend here in New York. Certainly, there's always going to be things like that popping up all over the place, but it's not. It's not really what most people are talking about here. What most people are talking about here are the things that are really happening here. There seems to be a real surge towards. I know you were talking mostly culinary, but I'm talking in regards to bar and
Yeah.
cocktail. Zero proof seems to be a very big thing right now. More and more bars are having, in the past, if you wanted a mocktail, we'll say,
Hmm.
now everybody doesn't call them mocktails, they call them zero proof cocktails.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
actually on my agenda to talk about a little bit later, getting into the whole bar and this whole speakeasy and the hidden doors. And we did one in London. We'll talk about more of the cocktail and the bar as we get later in the show, but agree with you 100%.
right, but it's
Yeah.
relevant to what you're bringing up about trends,
Yeah.
right? And you're talking more culinary, and so with along that comes the zero proof cocktails. And then your third one was
The
what?
shift to fine, fast, casual.
Yeah, I just think people like to name things. Like I think there's always been a handful of people, groups, reviewers, whatever,
Mhm.
that don't like fine dining. It's too expensive, especially nowadays. And you know what? I don't blame you. It is. The cost of food is out of control. You know this.
Yeah.
And there's always this comes around every couple of years where people don't want to do the fancy dinners, it's too expensive, but they still want something nicer than fast casual, so let's merge the two. This is something that always gets regenerated every 5 years, I'll say. um, in New York, it's just, listen, you could go to your local mom and pop and that local mom and pop actually winds up having a Michelin star, or you can go to a Michelin star and you're like, like Gennaro and you leave, you're like, I need to go get a slice because I'm not full. Like
Or a
it's
burger.
all right. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
That's not really a huge trend here. I just think people are, and especially when it's an interview with chefs, to me, I'm always skeptical just because I'm wondering what it's going on in there, 'cause especially it was a Forbes article, right? So they're
Yeah.
coming from the place of where am I going to make money right now?
Of
And that's
course.
valid for them, but I don't know that that's valid for the consumer.
Yeah, yeah. So let's kind of jump into the whole vibe piece. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned this. I would say I mentioned it quite a few times in different shows where I had a very good friend in Florida, and she said it many times. She doesn't eat food; she eats vibe, she eats experience, and that's more important. And I've heard that a lot being in the restaurant business. And the first people they come in and the first thing everybody pulls out their phones and they start snapping pictures, and it's about Instagram, it's about TikTok, it's about the overall experience, and the whole energy and the new dining energy and the experience. So I really feel that's where this whole vibe shift is coming from. And I mean, it's funny because when I was doing the research for the show, everywhere, anything you Google, anything you look up, it's all vibe shift, vibe shift. And I really feel that it's not about, and I know it's not true because I'm a foodie and you're a foodie. It is about the food. It is about the taste. And we've talked about this before, but that experience driven dining is so important. And, it's about the sensory experience, setting the mood, the lighting, the sound, the sense, the design. I mean, everything kind of goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just think, that whole experience is just so important because today everybody eats with their phones. It's phones and eyes first.
Right. So when you say everything is about vibes, this
Yeah.
sort of makes me laugh because this is just how people are now coining the phrase these days, right?
Yeah, of
This is
course.
still hospitality. So we talked about this in an earlier episode. I work for Steven Starr. When you work with a restaurateur like that, it is all about the vibes, but it's not just about that. It's also about the food and the service and the hospitality and the 5 foot rule and all of that. Yes, he curates the music. Yes, he makes sure that he has the best designers and everything looks beautiful. But also, when you walk in that front door, the first people greeting you are the hosts, and
The
they
people.
set the mood,
Mhm.
not the music, not the scent. It's the people. And so, yes, I know everybody likes to take out their phones and take pictures for Instagram. I still think that there's a very specific age group that does that over other age groups. But I still think regarding vibes, a lot of that is still hospitality. It is still
Mhm.
front of the house. It is how they welcome them into the restaurant more so than the music, the scent, the looks. Now, once they're seated and they start taking everything in, of course, with your senses of absolutely, you're 100% right there. Then, of
Yeah.
course, I think that becomes more important. But for me, the first thing that they experience is a human, and then everything else comes after that. And I just think, regardless of what restaurant you're in, as long as you have something that's cohesive, and at the end of the day, people don't feel like they're being gouged, they feel like they're getting a good value for their money, and they had a great time. I'm not convinced that it's about the vibe as it was about the hospitality and the food and the booze.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to what you said, 100%. I mean, we even when we talked about last week's show, we talked about training, how important training is, and
Yeah,
that was such a big piece for me when we train. And I mentioned before that we don't call them hostess, we call them concierge because we want them to elevate the experience and the service. Just like when you check into a
sure.
5-star hotel, you have a concierge at the door.
Yeah,
So 100%, when somebody walks in that door, that first impression is so lasting. Eye contact. And so 100%, I agree. The concierge or the hostess or whoever's working the door
yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
sets the tone.
Hmm.
And then hospitality overall. I mean, we always say, and we start off our show every week saying, service makes everything. The
But
meal
it
can be
does.
okay, but
Yeah, yeah,
service makes everything. So 100%. But it's just so amazing. I mean, when we opened Tuscan Prime, I'll tell you what, there was so many, and I keep going back to Tuscan Prime because it's such a great example of vibe and mood. And I have to tell you, there was so many weekends that we just went viral on TikTok. And I mean, it was age groups from 17 to 50. I mean, they were in the bathrooms, they were taking videos, they would come to the tree. I had people ask me to go in the wine room. I mean, it was just amazing, the videos. And it was, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it was great advertising for us because people came from all over to see
Of
it.
course.
But it's definitely such an experience. I mean, guests want that feeling and they want that connectivity. And then, absolutely, once they sit down, it's about that whole sensory. And that's what, from a restaurant tour's perspective, that's what goes into the whole design piece too. Like you just talked about, the lighting, the sound, the scents, the designs. I mean, everything that we talk about.
So let
Um,
me ask you a question.
yeah,
All of those people, when you went viral on TikTok,
yeah.
what's the percentage of those people that you think came back for a second time?
Quite a few. Believe it or not, it was quite a few. So, and I only know because I had so many influencers reach back out to us and request collabs, and like we talked about on reviews. I mean,
Right, but what
you
I
don't
mean
want
is
to close a review.
non-influencers, regular
Quite a
people
few,
just
quite a
going out to
few,
dinner. Yeah.
quite a few, because you can see the visits on Resi, so you can actually go
Right.
into
That's why I'm
Resi and
asking.
see, of course, their dining history. So, and with me being on the floor, I got to see, I mean, a lot of familiar faces. I mean, obviously, when a new restaurant opens or it's viral or TikTok and you have people coming from all over the place, you're not going to always have repeat guests. I mean, that was one thing that Gennaro kept saying, is it sustainable? What's the
Yeah.
sustainability on something like that? But that's when the next level kicks in, like you talked about. Okay, yeah, they come for the experience, they come for the TikTok, but now what's keeping them and what's creating
Right.
long term is the hospitality, is the quality of the food.
Right.
So 100% it goes
Yeah,
hand in
yeah.
hand. But
Yeah, I think the vibe is what gets them, but that what makes them keep coming back is how they were treated, how they felt, what they experienced
yeah, for sure.
over the Instagram and the TikTok, which influencers in restaurants make me batty. That's a conversation for another day.
We
I
should do a
just
whole topic on
We
influencers.
should. I'm just going to say for the record, since you brought up influencers, since you summoned them to the podcast, I would just like to say to any influencers out there, when you eat at restaurants, tip. Tip. Yes, your meal is comped. That doesn't mean you
Right.
don't tip the people who took care of you. I can't tell you how many influencers I've had to take care of that would just like eat and drink everything and then take up your
Well, they
table and
just
then
assume,
don't pay.
exactly, they just
Unacceptable.
assume you're,
Tip.
absolutely, they just assume they're, it's a free ride.
They know better. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this day and age, they know. Like it just, that was my PSA of the day. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So, my favorite, and I was making this list of the hottest trends, and of course, everybody talked about experiences, which we hit. But I thought we could get into some fun things because obviously we want to merge front and back since they should go hand in hand. But the
Mm-hmm.
hottest trend today, which came up on the list, was interactive experiences tableside. And that's one of the things
Ugh.
that you're probably going to go, oh my God, and cringe. But
Well, no, I mean,
I
that's been
love
around for
them. I'm not gonna
centuries.
lie. I love
That's been
them.
around for centuries. I mean, back in the day, people
Yeah,
filleting a
but now they're
fish
getting more
tableside.
modern.
Yeah, but it's like I remember going to a Ruth Chris Steakhouse ages ago. I think it was actually in Maryland, and I think they used to do bananas Foster tableside,
Of
like
course they did.
the crepe Suzette tableside, like all of that. That's old school. They're just bringing it back around and doing a new twist. That's not a new thing. That's a
Yeah.
classic thing. They're just trying to
Well,
put a
that's
new
why it's
twist on it.
called the return of the
Yeah.
tableside flair.
Well, we'll see.
Well, you
Well,
know what? That's
it's
with any trend. You got the bell bottoms, then you get the skinny legs, then the bell bottoms come back again.
yeah.
It's like it all comes full circle.
I always hated doing tableside
Oh,
stuff
I'm sure you did.
because even though it's a good show, and listen, I got great at shelling lobsters. Like I can shell a lobster so quick, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have that skill. Why not? But it does weed the servers. It can also be very messy and things can go flying and damage somebody's suit or outfit. And then you're paying for the dry cleaning. And also when the flame is involved, that always makes me very nervous because I always think that is a hazard
Yeah.
in general. But yeah, I mean, it's fun every once in a while to experience it. Sure. Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
I
One of
love a
the
crepe Suzette. Why not? Let's
yeah.
flambe some shit. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, it's not even like you started to mention the whole cocktail piece.
Mm-hmm.
We did a few drinks, tableside cocktails. So we did a stiletto boot, and we poured it tableside. So that became like a a big hot topic, or everybody had to order the boot at the table. But,
Hmm.
there's cocktails, the, what do you call the smoking, those wood smoking tops where you do the
Yeah, and
smoked
you
old
take it off
fashions
and
and all those.
yeah.
I mean, it's all about the show. And, we
Yeah.
did a steak one time where it comes out, and, like when you go to the beach and you have those, they're like glass candle boxes, and you put the steak in there. It's almost like a smoker, and the
Hmm.
steak goes in there, and it's beautiful. It comes out like a candelabra. What the hell you call those things? I'm having like a senior moment. You know what I'm talking about? They're like the urns, like they're the big glass, and you put candles in them on the patio. What the hell are
Hmm.
they
The
called?
lanterns.
Like a lantern. Exactly. Hello. Yeah. A
Okay.
lantern. So we used to have these beautiful lanterns, glass lanterns, and like lid tops, and you put these steaks in them, and you can smoke the steak, and it comes out to the table, and then you do the whole where you wave the lantern and open the door. And again, another table side experience where
Yeah,
you don't
it's
have to have
fun.
flames.
Yeah, it's fun. One, and the thing is, if that's what you're in the mood for, that's the restaurant you're going to.
Right.
Right. And if you're not in the mood for that night, then you're going to go to another restaurant. It's like, that's why the beautiful thing about restaurants is why there's so much variety is that one day you want the show, one day you don't. And I mean, and if it works and it's cost effective and people keep coming back for the same thing, why not? Why not give them a show?
Yeah. Well, you say it all the time. It's hospitality is live theater and
That's
service
it.
choreography. So
Yeah.
you're just adding another piece to the show.
100%. If they
Theatrical
want the show,
flair.
give it to them. I'm just, when I say I didn't like doing it from a service point of view, as someone who actually had to do it tableside all night
Yeah.
when you're in the weeds, that is not fun. But from the guest perspective, sure, it's a great show.
Well, it's funny you said that because you find the servers when they are in the weeds that they typically try not to sell those items. They'll
Correct.
they'll
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
focus you on, oh, I had this amazing steak that's so much better than the
Oh,
and then,
100%. We all know the
absolutely.
tricks. Absolutely. I am weeded. I do not have time to fillet this for you tableside. I am busy and nobody else is going to do it either. So guess what? I'm going to steer you to
There's
another
something
item.
else. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all know those tricks and they
Yeah.
work.
Well, one of the things that I love doing when we open, we used to do the big tomahawk, with the huge bone,
Oh, I love a
and
tomahawk.
so good. And
God,
I
delicious.
know, right? So good.
Mm,
So one of the things that I loved doing was we had, one of those drills that you can drill onto the tomahawk. And for
hmm.
special occasions, whether it was a wedding or they want to propose or whatever birthday, they could engrave the tomahawk bone. Well,
Interesting.
oh yeah. So we used to have, names put in it like, M loves G, and, will you
Yeah.
marry me,
Cute.
and happy birthday, and all these things. And in the middle of the rush, it would come into the kitchen, and I know my Sue would look at me and be like, "Are you effing kidding me?
Yeah, because it's a
Here's
pain in,
another one."
yeah, it's when you're engraving steak bones in a restaurant, that's when I think things have gone a little far.
Yeah, but
um
you know what? It was amazing. People
I'm
loved it. There's
sure it
actually
was.
another
I'm sure the
there
people loved it. The people didn't have to engrave it. The back of the house did, and the
yeah,
back of the house did not like it.
yeah.
So I
Well,
get it
hey.
from both angles.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? It's
And then how
what's
often
gonna
can you keep a tomahawk engraved bone? I mean, like it's gonna rot.
I don't know. I had so
Like, what
many
do you
people
do with
take it
that?
home. We had these long bags that, like the bags that you put wine in and you seal
Yeah.
them for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like corking.
Yeah.
We used to have them for the bones, and people would literally, maybe they fed them to their dogs. I don't know. Took a picture of them. I don't know
Did
how long they would last, but
it.
everybody took them home. It was
Oh,
for
that's
me more the
hilarious.
experience for,
Of course.
once what I wanted to do when I created this concept, I said, all right, I want everything in this restaurant to be Instagrammable. I want people to take pictures and say, wow, this is beautiful. Wow, this is great. The food looks amazing. This is the experience. So, that was an over the top thing that I wanted to
And
do.
listen, and that's legitimate. It's that
Yeah.
it because that was your concept.
Right.
And if that is your
Capturing
concept,
the,
you wanted to
that
bring the
whole
theater and the
unforgettability. Yeah.
drama, great. That's your
Yeah.
concept. And again, that's why people are going to go to your restaurant when they're in the mood for the show. And when they're not in the mood for the show, they're going to go to somebody who has a different concept. We're offering the variety for everybody who wants to go. But I mean, like that sounds like Disneyland and that sounds like a fun place to visit.
Yeah. Well, it's what was good. I guess you always have to have that balance. You know, you have to have the balance of the great dining experience, great food, great energy, and the it factor. So
Yeah.
you can still do all these fun things, but if I mean, we've had people, we had so many loyal guests that will come 2, 3 times a week. They
That's
weren't coming for the
nice.
show. You know, they were coming to sit at the bar and have an amazing cocktail because we did a lot of really
Right. They're
good
coming
craft
back because
cocktails.
of the hospitality. And it
Exactly.
all goes back
So
to
what's the
hospitality.
key? Hospitality.
That's it. That's why they're coming
Absolutely.
back, not for the show. The show's great the first time. They're coming back because you treated them like family, because
Yeah,
you treated them beautifully. They had a delicious meal. They had fabulous cocktails. They did not feel gouged. They had a wonderful experience. That's why they're coming back. But the
yeah,
show is always great to have. You know what I mean? Why
yeah.
not?
All right, so
Well,
Kristen,
actually,
my New
one
York
thing I'm
friend.
surprised you did not mention. I'm surprised you did not mention ghost kitchens.
Well, so that was kind of one I didn't want to open up the door to. It's funny you bring that up because yesterday Steve and I were trying, Steve in my office, and I were trying to figure out
Steve's
what we
our
wanted to
producer,
watch.
guys.
I always mention Steve.
I know. Steve is our producer.
Steve's in behind the scenes listening to us and and you know, writing all the details. But one of the things that we tried to do yesterday was order lunch. So we get onto DoorDash, and not that we, you know, it's not a commercial for DoorDash, but or a sponsor, but
No, that's
actually,
what you did. Actually, DoorDash, why don't you sponsor us? We enjoy
I
your
know, right?
product very much. Okay, there you go. Go
I
ahead.
should have
I
said
fixed
Uber
it.
Eats
That's okay.
because
We'll
Uber
just
Eats. So I should have mentioned Uber Eats because Uber Eats
great.
was my sponsor of my show, but I did get
Uber
onto
Eats, we
DoorDash
love you
and
too. We're happy to have you as a sponsor. Great. We fixed it. We'll fix it all in post. Go.
exactly. So we're trying to figure out what to eat. And I know everything within a 3 mile radius of my office. And this restaurant comes up and I'm like, Steve, what the hell is this? Where's this place? And we start Googling it, and it was a ghost kitchen
Yep.
operating out of a gas station. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, no, 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 no. We're not. How can that even happen? So
Well, why not? I mean, as long as they have all the proper
I
permits
know,
and
but the
everything,
thought
why
of
not?
I know, but the thought of eating lunch from Exxon, I mean, I know it had a different name, but I just, you know, so I really don't want to get into ghost kitchens because I think that's a whole nother episode that we can talk about because actually we've been addressed and we've been approached several times about would we consider using our kitchens for hosting ghost kitchens, you know, whether it's weekends or, you know, some of our slower evenings. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, that's, you know, I
Okay,
guess it
well,
can't hurt.
we can put a pin in that and talk about it on another day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a whole nother
because there is a trend about that going on here in New York for a variety of reasons, not just for takeout, but also for small businesses. So,
for rent
yes,
purposes, right? Because rent's so
no,
high.
no, for small businesses, like I'm a baker and I do my specialty is cookies or pies, but I can't bake out of my apartment in New York City because have you seen New York City kitchens?
Yeah.
So they rent a ghost space. And so, but we can get
Yeah.
all into that. As you said another time, let's talk about booze.
Okay.
My
Boo.
favorite topic. Yeah,
Oh my God.
let's talk about
Are you
booze.
ready for a martini?
Girl, I'm always ready for a gimlet. Hendrick's gimlet. Just
That's
saying,
your
Hendrix,
drink,
if you want to
huh?
sponsor. Hendrix, we love you. Please sponsor us. Okay, yes, I do drink a Hendrix gimlet. That is my drink of choice, always and forever, unless I'm in the mood for vodka. And then I will have a Cosmopolitan because I'll tell you what, a Cosmopolitan made correctly is a delightful cocktail, and I will die on that hill.
Wow. See, I'm a wine drinker. I'm not a
Oh,
big booze drinker. I mean,
I
I
love it.
can tolerate like I love a few different martinis if it's done right with
Mm.
certain I'm just not a heavy like liquor drinker. I mean, I'll it's you know, when we set up the bar, I was in charge of all the drinks. So I did a lot of a lot of the recipes, a lot of the craft cocktails. I designed all the show like we did a drink called Roses Are Red, and we did a tea infused rose ice cube. It was beautiful. It was like a
Mm.
pomegranate red. It was so pretty. And we put it into, I did my own private wine label, and we had our own Prosecco. And we did a Prosecco type drink with a floating rose in it. It was so yummy. Like those type of drinks I can do. I don't like them sweet though. I'm not like a sweet drinker, but
Mhm.
I mean, I love Prosecco with Saint Germain and I love a good champagne. So I'm more of like, I lean more
I do
towards
enjoy bubbles. Yeah. I
Yeah.
enjoy bubbles. I drink bubbles or cocktails. Those are my
Yeah.
drinks of choice.
I
Um,
love bubbles.
but with going back to things that are trending, as we talked about earlier, we'll circle back to it, is the zero proof bars. Now, I don't know if you're a Bravo holic. I watch just about everything on Bravo. I'm a housewife junkie. And if you watch Summer House, one of the guys from Summer House, Carl Radke, shout out, he just opened his non alcoholic bar in Brooklyn called Soft Bar. So that's a new one that just opened. There's a couple here in New York. There is, what's it called? Nightingale, I think it's called. There's another one called No More Cafe. Or is it Mockingbird? I probably just butchered that name. Sorry, guys. But the that seems to be the zero proof thing, seems to be a trend that's happening. And in the past, where you would go to a bar and you would say, yeah, can you make me something non-alcoholic? Now most bars have an entire section of zero proof cocktails for you to choose from. So I think that that's a great trend that we're having right now. I have friends who don't drink alcohol, and it's nice that they also now have an option outside of a non-alcoholic beer or a soft drink. So it's great that that's happening more. I think it's accepted more in a lot more places. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's a huge trend towards non-alcoholic. There's a lot more people not drinking these days.
Yeah.
We have a lot of friends that, I shouldn't say this, but they'll have one gummy and then they'll go out and they don't drink at all. So they love the I mean,
They
I think the
enjoy a
whole
gummy.
cannabis I think the whole cannabis world changed the idea of drinking and alcohol, and but there are more and more people not drinking. I actually have a very good friend who worked for one of the large liquor brands, and she had a big job and she was actually laid off because of more and more people are
Cannabis
not
sales.
drinking and they're not selling as much liquor as they used to. And, she said the same thing. She blamed it on the whole cannabis industry that,
Yeah.
more and more people they don't want to wake up with hangovers. They don't want to feel, sick. They want to be able to enjoy their meal and their taste. And there's so many different reasons why. And people are still trending towards health. It's healthier not to drink as much. You feel better in the morning. You're getting up and you're exercising and working out. So there's a lot of reasons why people aren't drinking, but I agree.
Yeah,
If
of
you don't
course. No
have a
judgment.
menu of, craft cocktails that are mocktails that, you're still having these amazing drinks and amazing, things that you could do in your bar, you're not going to make it these days. I mean, same thing with, the whole shift towards vegetarian and vegan. And again, that's a whole nother conversation and
Right.
topic for a future show.
Yeah, what I'm most struck by is that not only is the non-alcoholic beverage now more accepted to where it has its own real estate on cocktail menus, but that now they're not even calling it mocktails anymore. They're
I
calling
know.
it zero proof.
Zero
And
proof.
so
Yeah.
it's that vibe again. It's like they're trying to make it sound like something that is enticing even for people who just don't feel like drinking for whatever reason. So I think it's a great trend that we're having with that, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a trend here in New York. Mockingbird, that was it. I just want to make sure I corrected that. But
Mocking.
yeah, I think it's a great trend to go towards, but definitely one that's happening in the bar world. Even like
Yeah.
the really famous bars like Dead Rabbit, they have a whole, zero proof menu now as well. And so that's really wonderful to see.
Yeah. And that kind of leans into that whole speakeasy trend. I mean, at one point, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, where everybody wanted to do a speakeasy. I mean, there was one behind an ice cream
Yes.
bar, one behind a telephone booth. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that we went to New York and we chased the speakeasies. We were like, okay, what's the next hottest speakeasy? And we actually did that when we were in London. My daughter and I went to a really cool one in the bathroom. Um,
Oh, yes. I know what that one
did you
is.
see
Yep.
that on the
Yeah,
video?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you been there or no?
No, we didn't. It was actually I was in the UK in April, and it was on our list to go, but we didn't make it.
It was fun. I have to admit, it was really fun. I mean, you really walk through a bathroom. I mean, it's definitely interesting, but the bar itself was super cool. I mean, we found a couple cool ones in London. London had a lot of really cool
I love
bars.
London.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, me too. I
I
came
love
back and
London.
I said to Gennaro, I said, "You ready to move to London?" He's like, "What?
You
Why?"
out of your mind?
Oh my God, I love London. You know what? London. okay, first off, New York is one of my favorite cities in the world. I have to admit that. And
Correct.
London just reminded me of a smaller, quaint, like if you were to take Boston and New York and they had a baby, it becomes London. So
Yeah,
you have the
I could see
quaintness
that.
of
Yeah.
Boston and you have, the hub and the fast pace and the theater. So for my daughter's birthday, I love shows. I mean, I'm a huge Broadway junkie, and Devil Wears Prada was being released first in London. So for her birthday, I got tickets. So I was like, "We're jumping on a plane. We're going to see Devil Wears Prada in London." And I just so you can still shop and you can still eat and you can still do the shows and you can do everything that you do in New York, but it's just not as aggressive. I mean, I just felt
Hey,
like
hey,
it
hey,
was just
hey,
felt
hey, hey,
safer.
hey.
No, you know it.
Listen,
New
don't
York is a little
anybody,
more aggressive.
don't now listen now, don't nobody talk bad about my city,
Hey, I'm
right?
moving there, so I'm
Just,
not talking bad.
hey, don't nobody talk bad about my city. New York is what it is. I love it. Do I want to strangle it sometimes? Yes, but ain't nobody gonna talk bad. It's like, that thing like, I can talk bad about my family, but you can't talk
You
bad about
can,
my family.
yeah.
That's the thing with New York. Yeah. No, I really loved London when I was there. It was my first time. And we went to Sunday roast. I'm obsessed with a Sunday roast, and there's a place in New York City that does do Sunday roast. They're called Hawksmoor. They're down on the Flatiron, and they are a British restaurateurs, or British, not a chain, but they're British restaurateurs, and they do a Sunday roast, and I'm dying to go. I was all about the Sunday roast. Could not get enough of it. We went to a place, I think it was called Frog's Tavern or something like that. They had this punch on the menu. I was so buzzed after one. And we saw it right before we were going to see a show, and I was like, "This is going to be deadly night for me," because it just goes down. You feel like you're drinking punch, and then the next thing you know, you try and stand up. You're like, "Oh, that's where the alcohol was." So it was just. I love London. It's fabulous.
All right, so
Hawksmoor,
I'm
I'm
gonna leave
coming for you.
I'm gonna I'm gonna leave you with this. So, of course, you talk about the roast and the punch and the alcohol, and my
Yeah,
favorite thing that we did in London was all the teas. We chased the teas, the
it's so
afternoon tea, the
funny.
morning teas, the theme teas. I'm actually coming up to New York in 2 weeks, and one of the things that I'm dying to, and first off, the Plaza is my favorite place in New York, and you're probably gonna go, oh God. But one of the things that we're doing, I
No,
already signed up
Michelle,
for
I
the
would
Wicked
not
Tea.
say that. There's nothing wrong with the plaza. The plaza is delightful. Who
Oh, it's
wouldn't
my
love?
favorite. Actually, my 6-year-old, I mean, that's her she lives for the plaza. Everywhere we go, she's like,
Good for
"Are we
her.
staying at the plaza?" She loves the plaza.
I
But,
don't have
and
any
then, of course,
problems with that. I
Eloise
only
lives at
have
the plaza.
problems when you say everything's Michelin. That I have a problem with. But no, go to the plaza. Delight
So we're
yourself.
doing tea. We're doing the
Do
Wicked
it.
Tea, so I can't wait. So
Oh,
I'll have to
that's
report back.
great. Oh, they're doing a wicked tea. That's great. When
I can't
when
wait.
I was in London, we did the Bridgerton tea.
Oh, we did, no, do you know what we did?
And it was good. It was
We did
good.
2 teas. We did a theme tea, and then we did, I can't remember the name of the tea we did. It was so fabulous. But yes, we signed up for the Bridgerton tea too.
Yeah, it's fun. I love that shit. Yeah, go for it, man.
Me too.
Yeah, it's
All right,
great.
well,
All right, so we did a vibe check. That's where we
we did
are.
a vibe
And
check.
we made it clear that nobody's going to talk bad about my city. That
No.
is
Well,
that.
I love moving. I love New York. There is no place better in the world than New York City. Hence the reason I'm
Correct.
moving there. I mean, for everybody listening now, they're going to know. But yeah, by the end
Woohoo!
of this year, we're relocating and we're moving our offices to New York City. So I'll
So
be
if
in
there
New
are
York
any
for
real estate brokers
2026.
that want to sponsor us as well, we would enjoy that as well. See, there
Oh
you go,
yeah.
Michelle. We got to do it.
We can definitely do it. But listen, before we go,
Yeah.
I will say this as a restaurateur, even though the vibe and the energy and all these amazing immersive pop-ups and dining experiences and everything that they are trends. And as a restaurateur, the last thing you want to do is chase a trend because you have to stay true to your brand, know your brand, love your brand. If you want to add some, details and some fun things like we talked about, it's one thing, but chasing the trends is also very risky because you never know what's going to happen because these trends change so much, right?
I agree. I think, listen, as we talked about earlier, if that is what your vision is, and I'm saying you, not just you, Michelle, but I mean you, the collective you, if
Right.
you have a vision and that's what you want to do it. I support it. Go for it. At the end of the day, it comes down to hospitality, it comes down to service, it comes down to a good value. If you have that, then everything else is gravy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our DMs are open. We love to hear
Do
from
it.
you. We love the topics. We'll talk about it. And if we don't get to it, we'll do another show.
We'll get to it. Trust me,
Of
we will get
course.
to it.
But more to come, exciting topics. We're getting into the holidays, so we'll be able to talk about holiday parties and we're getting into my favorite time of the year, so we'll have so much to share. So we look forward to hearing from you. And Krista, until next time,
Until next time, cheers, everybody.
cheers and go get your martini. Oh, I shouldn't
Done.
say that. Go get your gin.
I'll
Your
take
Hendrix.
both. Please and thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.